I am very pleased to have Danny Peters on the show today. He's a co-founder and CEO at milkymap. And that's a very interesting company because Danny is a certified customer experience expert and specializes in customer journey mapping. So a very hot topic at the moment, the customer journeys and digitalizing the customer journeys and customer research as well. milkymap basically implements a very unique customer journey mapping methodology. And we're going to be talking all about how milkymap is working and who's using it and who's successfully creating very thorough customer journeys for their basically client base. So without further ado, actually, I want to be jumping straight into the questions and welcome Danny to the show. Pleasure to meet you, Danny.
Thank you. Pleasure is all mine.
Awesome. So maybe tell us about milkymap in your own words. What is it all about?
Well, milkymap is a platform, a SaaS platform, where the user can visualize and analyze customer journeys. They can present them and they can share them with colleagues or project members. So they can constantly focus on the visualization and the experience of the customers in one environment with always the latest version. So collaboration is enriched with journey maps that are in the cloud. So they are stored in the cloud and they can be presented in the platform. So that's what milkymap is about. Lately we're adding also data into the platform so that you can also give more insights, more actionable insights about how you're doing in the journey map. So not only visualizing, but also doing the performance management on those journey maps. You can really take decisions in which journey you want to approach and which journey you want to improve.
Very interesting. Maybe for everybody who's listening and curious about the company, maybe you could tell us something that characterizes the companies. Maybe how many clients you're working with, or how many website visitors, or any prizes you've won. Anything that would characterize milkymap a little bit.
Yeah. We started 3 years ago with milkymap, building the platform. After 1 year, we went to the market. We are now in more than 130 countries used. We have over 7,000 users in the platform, and we have in the pricing model, we have two options. We have the individual version for consultants and for individuals within medium and large companies who are working with customer journey maps on a weekly or monthly basis. And next to that, we have an enterprise version, which is multi-user, where you can share journey maps with each other, and you can also add data into our unique platform. That is used. We went live with the enterprise version just 2 months ago. So we are now onboarding a couple of enterprises, a couple of corporates, where we are integrating it in their customer journey mapping methodology, customer experience teams to use the platform. And from the individual version, like I said, we are in more than 130 countries. Some people are using it every day because they do journey mapping every day. Others use it every month because they are in the project as a product owner or a process manager and just want to use it whenever it comes up in their work.
Got you. You already characterized a little bit the types of clients. So it looks like on the one side there is sort of consultants, and on the other side there's the enterprises. What types of enterprises will be using milkymap or starting to use milkymap?
Yeah, in our philosophy, a customer is defined as any person that has contact with an organization and has an experience there. So that can also be a patient or a citizen or a kid or a parent, and also business to business or consumer. But if we look at our base of our users, we see a lot of focus in the financial world. We see a focus in the energy world, and we see, of course, also in hospitality and healthcare, where also it's his own experience of patients and guests, where you want to influence and manage the experience that they have in their journey, in their different journeys that they have with the organization. Yeah.
Who would be championing the product within those, let's say, for example, financial companies or energy companies that you mentioned? Like, who would be a typical champion for milkymap within those companies?
Yeah, Mostly when we come in, there is already existing, of course, a marketing department, and there's also a more and more agile teams with product owners, and there is also an operation department. So there are a lot of people influencing and working with the customer or on behalf of the customer. And what we do is that we look for the correct or the specific champion that will be the owner, and that's different per company. Of course, in the ideal world, there's a customer experience department, which is already the owner and in the governance already positioned as the owner of the customer. So that means that department is using milkymap and is setting out and managing the users of the platform. But it can also be somebody from the communication department or somebody from the marketing department who has more of a digital and online focus. If that's a strategic choice, then we can also implement it in that environment. So it's different. But for us, the ideal situation is that's if there are customer experience managers or from a corporate perspective, like top down, or they're already positioned in the teams. And then you will have several champions managing the journey maps there.
Very interesting. What would you consider is sort of the typical, and I flip that back, the typical journey somebody would be going through in order to sort of, learn about milkymap and, get started? What would be the channels that would be working through?
Yeah, that's a good question. Also from a Pathmark perspective, of course. Of course, we also have our journeys mapped out. So we are also in focus of the journey where our clients are going through. And of course, you can imagine the individual version is way different than the enterprise version. So we have two different journeys for two different customer segments. So the individual version is completely self-service, is completely automated. So they can go to the website, they can go there through or a LinkedIn message or a Facebook campaign or landing pages that we have or resellers that we have. And they come onto our website and they can subscribe by themselves. They can take a 14-day trial, so they can try the product completely for free, no credit card needed. So we see there a lot of engagement in those first 14 days to try the product. And after those 14 days, they need to choose if they are going to pay for the product or not. And of course, for us, the challenge is to impact and influence that conversion. If they are logged into the platform and using it, or if they don't log in anymore in that 14 days, of course, we need to grab them back and to see how to get them involved and get them engaged and motivate them to take that subscription. So I think that's the individual version. The enterprise version that's what I do as a CEO of the company. I do the marketing and sales. So that means that I give webinars, I give product demos. We have a focus we are based in Amsterdam. We have a focus on the Dutch market this year and next year. Then we want to be more focused on other countries with the enterprise version. And that means that I give the product demos that we have like a template standardized proposals that I can prepare for them. So that's more like a personal experience that we have. I make quick short videos that I explain the proposal, that I explain the product, and I record those videos specifically for that potential client. So I add some touch points, as we call it, in that journey until the signature for the proposal, for the subscription and the project. So that's for the enterprise version, which of course takes more time. It's a B2B sales process, and it takes more effort, more touch points from our side to make it more personal.
Sure. What role would you say does the website play on the enterprise side? I mean, it's very explanatory, self-explanatory on the individual level, but on the enterprise side, what role does the website play in the journey?
Yeah, that's a good question, because that's something that we are now in transition to make that more visible and more understandable what the differences are, because it's really important to explain the differences, especially for the companies that are in between and they're adapting between enterprise version and individual version. Because for the large enterprises, we have a lot of information and a lot of blogs that we're writing now to explain how data is connected to journeys and how you can manage customer experience. So I think from a corporate perspective, we can tell the story, but then getting them into that flow for making a demo and getting to me, yeah, that's something that we should work on a more, how do I say that, automation level, instead of me jumping into LinkedIn, because for me, for the enterprise version sales process, I use LinkedIn like six hours out of 10 hours per day. So for me, it's my lifeline to the market is LinkedIn. But that means that takes a lot of time. So the automation in that could also help to optimize that process. Yeah.
Interesting. If you would talk maybe one more follow-up on the website there. Right now, what would you say from the enterprise side of things, what would you say is the major strength of the website? Is it the ability to convert if somebody comes to the website, to a demo? Is it the quality of the leads that you're winning through the page? Is it the user experience that you can provide? Like, where would you see a strength of the website at the moment?
Yeah, I think the second part. I think that the quality of what we explain and what we show on the website is something that they really can, they really recognize what they're looking for. So the quality of the leads is huge. So if somebody asks for a demo, that's a really quality lead. But that means it's a lot of manual work as well. So if we can automate, we can also look at the quality of the leads. Of course, we would like to have quality leads, but I think in quantity we can really improve to get more leads. And I think from that, I think that was the first thing that you mentioned in how we get to convert them for reading the material and getting onto the website, understanding what we can achieve for them, and then transferring that into a demo. That's something that we could that we're working on.
Interesting. What is it something that you already tried in order to increase the conversions from the page?
Different things. I think we changed the menu so people can navigate a little bit different on the website. We created a complete different page for the enterprise version. So you can really read about only the enterprise version, which is not mixed up with our consultancy or the individual version. So that link to that page I can send also with proposals or with information that I send to people that I've talked to. So that helps. Now you can book a direct demo in my agenda. So in my calendar through Calendly, I use Calendly platform for booking something in my agenda. They can look for a free spot, which is automated. It just comes into my calendar. That works amazingly. And we see that working. So we give the opportunity. Of course, there's always a risk that you're overbooked or you're fully loaded with all kinds of demos that you actually don't want. But for now, because we're focused in those touch points where we explain the enterprise, where we have links to the enterprise version, there we offer the demo and not in the individual version, because that's automated. Yeah.
Very interesting. Okay, so coming back to your product, right? For everybody who's listening in, maybe somebody also from enterprise listening in, what would you say sort of is the main competitive advantage of the product?
Yeah, so let me give you a brief history, because I started with customer journey mapping 10 years ago, and I started with mapping journeys in a 6-step methodology with a multidisciplinary team. And what I found out was that organizations are not only creating a customer journey map for only becoming a customer or being a customer, but they were coming journeys, like dozens of journeys in an organization. So with all kinds of levels, all kinds of perspectives, all kinds of customer types or personas. So I saw that organizations were having like 50 to 100 journey maps. So I was thinking 5 years ago, if I'm creating a platform, I need to create something that an organization can manage all those journeys. And not only by clicking one by one, but they need to compare and prioritize, because you need to choose which journey you want to work on. So that's why we created the customer experience lifecycle model. And the lifecycle model is the complete lifecycle of a customer. and you can connect all the journeys to that life cycle. So there's one model with 60 to 80 jobs to be done, and all the journeys are connected to the model. And that means that if you're adding data to your journeys, so you're measuring your journey, or you're looking at your reporting of complaints per journey, that data from that specific journey is translated or aggregated into the model. So you're only looking at the model for a dashboard perspective. And I think that's something that we are solving now for large companies. Well, in the Netherlands, we are working for some large companies like Vattenfall, the energy company from the Nordics, and also present in the Netherlands. For ABN AMRO, the bank, we are creating now lifecycle models, which helps them to be scalable with their journey maps, because all the journey maps are visualized in the same way. And if they're adding data, it needs to be aligned with that modeling of the data. And that's what really helping. If you're having, well, these companies have more than 300 maps throughout all the company. So if you want to see how you're doing on your customer experience, you cannot click one journey by one journey. So that's why we built in the last 6-7 months during COVID-19. We decided to invest in our development team that we have in India, and we developed a data connector, so an API server, which is connected to our milkymap platform, but it's a separate API server, and we can send and receive data which is based on our modeling. And that means that we can now collect data or receive data from other platforms, from other data sources that we can present in our journey maps. And that gives the freedom to journey mappers to make the journey maps how they want. But for management, the tactical and strategic level of a company gives the opportunity to look at the same data, the same insights, and the same language of all those journeys. So yeah, this is something that I've worked on for years, but now we have built it and we now are into the market. So now we're seeing the effect in those corporates, how they profit from that, how do I say that alignment of all the definitions and all the journeys in Excel and PowerPoint and all the different places and mailboxes coming out together into one overview. And that's something that, yeah, that's really, how do you say that?
It seems it's really like one real data approach to the journeys, right? It's in one version that you can be using it, rather than they're being scattered in like all the Google Drives and all the sketches and Photoshops.
And one of the challenges that we are trying to, how do you say that, to overcome is that in the past you saw that customer journey mappers are different types of persons. Like a process manager is more perspective from a lean management, internal process perspective. You have the service design experts who are more in Photoshop or InDesign. They are creating amazing looking journey maps. So we have the challenge that we want to deliver a platform that is flexible enough to make it good looking, but it needs to be detailed and organized enough in modeling that it can handle the data. That's the combination that we're now solving. So yeah, still a lot of work to do, but I think that's now where we are at, and that's what the companies are asking for. So yeah.
Okay. I would love to switch gears a little bit, since we're slowly coming to an end of the interview, just to learn about you personally a little bit more. So what type of content do you consume? Obviously, you're an expert in the customer experience arena. So what is the type of content that you consume in order to sort of educate yourself further?
Yeah, that's of course a lot, because customer experience is covering a lot of different areas. So let me just mention the areas, not saying that I'm an expert in all the areas, but we need those areas to be a good customer experience consultant or platform. I think from a data perspective, we are now collaborating with data science companies. So we are partnering with data science companies to learn and to get them in our projects to help us improve. So that's more on a collaboration part. Of course, on a marketing side, for marketing automation, there are now also a lot of questions in how can we, how are we interacting with our customers, not only on an inbound level, but also on an outbound level. So that means that on a marketing level, we're also looking into that. And I think from a service design perspective, I'm part of a couple of networks, and I think that networking, and I'm also judge in a couple of award events. That really helps me to connect with other experts in those fields: marketing, service design or design thinking, in the data science part. And I think those three areas are really combined now within customer experience. So marketing, data, and service design. So that's what I'm trying to do. Of course, yeah, the books I cannot mention. You see here just a couple of my books. The rest is digital. But of course, there are a lot of books that we use for helping us and educating ourselves for this project. Yeah.
Okay. And since we're slowly coming to an end of the interview, I want to like to jump into our rapid fire questions. There's a couple of short answers with crisp questions with some crisp answers. Are you ready for those?
Of course.
Okay. What's the one thing that your company is focused on the most at the moment?
The data integration of the journey maps.
Mm-hmm. If there would be no boundaries in technology, what would be one thing you want to have fixed for your company today?
Fixed. That's the conversion ratio on our individual version.
Mm-hmm. What's the last thing that kept you awake at night about the company?
Hiring a new consultant or collaborating with partners.
Mm-hmm. And if today would be your very first day working on milkymap, what would be the advice that you would give yourself?
Yeah, that's a really hard question. I think, how do you say that? Develop faster and learn faster. Mm-hmm. So making mistakes faster. We made them, but now we know that we're making them for sure. So it was easier to make them faster.
What did you learn about accelerating? Since you mentioned that, what did you learn about accelerating the rate of errors? Like, is it something that you changed in your operations?
Yeah, we changed functions. So we added some functions into our train of development. Mm-hmm. So we hired a UX designer, which we were doing on a project basis. We now have a continuous UX designer in our team. So I think that's an important learning that we had. And we have several roles now in front end, back end, and architecture. And we didn't have architecture. So if we would have that from the beginning, I think that would have helped. Yeah, would have gone faster.
Yeah. I see. Danny, thanks a lot for being with us on the show today. I want to give you the last word. If somebody would forget everything that we just talked about, customer experience and milkymap in this interview today, what would be one thing that they should remember about the product?
Well, that milkymap is a platform where if you're experienced or you're non-experienced, you can start visualizing the experience of customers. So it helps you to improve the experience of customers. And it really helps you to also share with your colleagues. So you can also convince your colleagues to become more customer-centric. So I would advise them to start using it to make the world a little bit better for our customers and ourselves.
Very good, Danny. Thanks a lot for being part of the show today.
Thank you.